Hey everyone, Donald Trump cornered Democrats during his State of the Union address.
So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
I'm Rich Lowry of National Review, and that was arguably the most notable moment from the State of the Union address. So why did Democrats put themselves in that terrible position of sitting during it? Well, probably a couple tactical considerations, right? One is they consider it gimmicky. They don't like being put on the spot by Donald Trump. Two, candidate filing deadlines haven't passed. So a lot of these Democratic members of Congress are probably worried if they actually stand up during that moment, they might invite a primary challenge from someone from the further to the left, which they don't like. But there's something more fundamental going on about how you think about this distinction between a United States citizen and an illegal alien, such that you sit stony faced when you're asked to choose. So this would seem like a pretty elemental, simple distinction between Americans and outsiders. What problem does the left have with that distinction? Well, it's that last word I said, outsider. That's exclusionary. You're saying some people don't belong and others do. How can you be so hateful? This goes to how they really don't consider borders meaningful or legitimate. There's something wrong with drawing that line and saying some people belong and the US government should be in favor of their interests and some people don't. We got a very telling comment from a Democratic member of Congress about this.
What did you think about that moment when the president was asking Democrats to stand up for American citizens during that part of the speech when he was talking about immigration and immigration enforcement efforts?
I think you can agree with the what, like standing up for American citizens, but I disagree with the how. And so it's always about how do we bring our country together, but not stand on the backs of others. There's thinly veiled racist language, anti-immigrant language in what he was asking, and that was uncomfortable.
Now, I give credit to the interviewer asking the question. I give credit to the Congresswoman for trying to explain her views on this. But where does it inevitably go? It goes to race and charges of racism, which, if you think about it, is totally preposterous. The category of U.S. citizen is hugely capacious, right? It includes people of all races and all creeds. It includes people whose families have been here for 250 years. It includes people who got here relatively recently. But that's not what she was thinking about. She's thinking about we have this category of U.S. citizen and we're excluding other people from it. We're saying other people can't come and be part of that charm circle by violating our laws. And this is such a deeply felt moral, I think it's perverse, but they consider it a moral belief of the left and of Democrats that this is the section of Trump's speech that caused the most passion on the other side. We had Ilhan Omar shouting at President Trump.
Penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
There are fair criticisms to be made of the Minneapolis operation and some of ICE's tactics, but this goes much deeper. This outrage is about how the distinction between U.S. citizen and outsider, in fact, a legal outsider, doesn't really matter, such that it is considered a profound injustice and wrong if you go out of your way to actually enforce that distinction. The way, by the way, our federal laws say it should be enforced. But that doesn't compute for Democrats because they have this deeper moral commitment that borders don't really matter and we need to be welcoming to everyone no matter what. This is why at the Democratic counter State of the Union event, you get a guy dressed as a giraffe. Yes, dressed as a giraffe, bragging about getting arrested by ICE.
I'm fresh out of an ICE prison in Minneapolis. I've been arrested 3 times by ICE over absurdity, over us being ourselves, over me singing songs like, "Hey, Mr. Tangerine Man, get rid of brown people for me. I'm Aryan white. There ain't no place I'm going to." And then all of a sudden, he's not ready for primetime player ICE agents with 2 weeks of training come after me.
Now, usually getting arrested by federal law enforcement is not a bragging point, but what's going on with the giraffe? We can assume the chain of reasoning goes. He thinks borders are illegitimate. He thinks this distinction between U.S. citizens and illegal immigrants is illegitimate. Therefore, he thinks the agency devoted to enforcing that distinction, ICE, is illegitimate, such as that it is okay for him, we can presume, to harass ICE agents, and it's a great thing to get arrested by them. Now, at bottom, this point of view is why Joe Biden created a de facto open border for a large category of illegal immigrants during his administration. I'm not sure Biden himself really shares this view, but he felt he had to bend to and to pander to this sentiment in his own party, and it was a political debacle. And all this goes to something I've talked about recently in these videos when I was discussing the Olympics and the difference between Jack Hughes and Eileen Gu. It's a difference between a patriotic and nationalistic impulse and a cosmopolitan impulse that considers us all so-called citizens of the world, whether we're a U.S. citizen or an illegal immigrant. And this is just not how most Americans think about it. And this is a really important and enduring divide in our politics. So it was important and very politically advantageous for Donald Trump to put a pin on this distinction in a dramatic fashion during the State of the Union address. I'm Rich Lowry, over and out.